Hi everyone, Jim Nixon, ASB professional. This is day 3 of my ASB tips. Welcome back everybody. Tonight we're going to be covering the subject of youth injunctions. Just to give you a little bit of background if you've not already watched the first couple of videos. My sort of background is in 20 years, or just over 20 years working for West Midlands Police. Mainly sort of working on prevention of ASB, tackling ASB and sort of neighbourhood policing. Then went on to work for a housing association, again in the field of tackling ASB as a community safety manager, and then more recently working for a local authority as an ASB manager. Just a quick disclaimer as usual for me, these are my own sort of personal experiences and views. Please always consult your own policies and procedures and your own legal sort of setup, whether that be in-house or an external setup. So we're going to be covering the subject of youth injunctions. A little bit controversial for me because I'm going to start off by saying don't do them. And what I'm saying by that is do them as a very last resource. Obviously, you know, you're going to be sort of using them for your more serious types of ASB involving young people. But in my experience with young people that are involved in quite serious ASB, and when they're sort of early doors, when they start getting involved, what I sort of find is there's, with quite a large majority of them, there are still some very complex issues going on in terms of, you know, family issues, family setup. So there are issues that, you know, in my sort of opinion, are causing some of the issues, you know, that they're sort of outwardly demonstrating. So what I've tried to do throughout my career is when you've got a young person that is causing problems, is trying to get a rapport, not only with them, but the family members and the, you know, whoever's caring for them, setting up quite a robust process around sort of warnings and then obviously leading on to acceptable behaviour contracts. And what I always made sure was that the ABCs were very easy to understand. So they were written in a sort of language that was understandable to that young person and to the family members. Not too detailed in terms of not too many prohibitions, you know, because it can sometimes lose a bit of emphasis. And then the other thing for me was to make sure that when you issued an ABC, that you made sure that you kept on top of it and followed it through, reviewed it on a regular basis, made sure that you did home visits, again, building up that rapport with the family, linking in with key partners, social services if they were involved in the family. We used to refer kids to early doors more from a preventative point of view, long before they got onto the criminal justice route. So for me, you know, it's all about prevention, and trying to do as much as you can to understand that young person's needs and to try and address it. And you can't do it on your own. You know, you've got to involve a whole host of people. And I do appreciate that time is of the essence now, and that our resources are very much depleted. Where I have used the youth injunctions, and most recently in the last couple of years, we had a very serious case involving up to 50 youths in an area that was quite deprived, and they were causing a lot of serious ASB, you know, for a number of shopkeepers, a number of residents, and it was horrendous. When we looked at the evidence, I think what was evident for me was that by the time I got involved in it, it was sort of like a 12 months down the line. And that what I've talked about just really is that although there's no criticism aimed at any of the partners, I don't think there was a particularly joined up approach in terms of that prevention. And because of that, we got to a point of no return where we had no choice really but to try and stop the ASB as quickly as we could. And it was agreed that injunctions was the way forward, really, to try and get those that ASB to stop and to sort of restore a bit of peace in that community. So we went for the injunctions. One thing I would say when you do that is you need the buy-in from all the partners. Obviously, there's a duty to consult with YOS, but there's also a recommendation that you inform other key partners too. And what I would say is get everybody involved, and get everyone to buy in before you go down the route of injunctions. With this particular case, we secured the 8 interim injunctions on notice. What we found when we did get those 8 injunctions, and then we were able to restrict some of the association and some of the movement of those young people, it did have a massive desired effect with the sort of hangers-on, not the main sort of hardcore group members of the group. And what we found was that it diluted that sort of group of 50 quite quickly, and restored quite a lot of peace. And although we did get breaches of the injunctions, a lot of them were really around the association prohibitions that we put in place. And it massively did the trick, and we reduced ASB, I think, by about 59%. Now that was positive, and with these particular injunctions, after consultation with YOT, we didn't put any positive requirements in, but there was already some work already going on with some of those individuals, so it was deemed not appropriate at that point. But it has done the trick, and it has sort of eradicated some of the ASB in that particular location, and it's a much safer, better place for people to frequent and work and live. But the tip really tonight is do everything you can before you go down that route. Examine everything, get as many partners involved as you can, and do all you can to try and get that young person back on track. And again, what I'm not saying here is I'm condoning their behaviour, and I'm dismissing the hurt and the issues that these young people cause for victims. And it's important that we still continue to look after the victims of these issues. But I just feel that a lot of work at the front end will save us a lot of work and pain at the back end when we haven't addressed those issues early doors. So that's the tip. I haven't gone into any kind of legislative sort of stuff because I don't really want to teach people stuff they already know. But I just wanted to give you my views from doing 8 injunctions all in one go and how impacted it can be. But I do feel that we could probably done more work early doors. So that's tip 3. I'm going to be back tomorrow for tip 4. I'm going to be covering the community trigger and giving you some ideas around that. If you like tonight, please like it on LinkedIn, share it with your partners and your contacts, and more importantly, provide some feedback as well and share best practice. So I'll see you back tomorrow with tip 4. Have a good evening, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Thanks a lot.